spent 2 years ago, I spent my first 4 weeks of school as a 1-2 teacher down here before I moved back to 4th grade to Miss LeBlanc. It was a blessing in disguise because if I had to still be over here, I mean, I don't know if I would have thought up the planning that y'all came up with, but I would have definitely needed that if I was going to stay over here. Because, I mean, the task over here is just monumental, especially with more than one grade level. So we are not nearly that organized. But then again, the 3 of us only teach 2 subjects, so that makes a big difference.
And Mark's teaching everything, and last year Connie taught everything, so they can feel your pain.
Yes.
Okay.
And none of us planned together last year, actually. Mark plans with us for ELA and social studies, and then we don't know what he does for math and science. It's a question mark, but it's fabulous, I know. He plays with himself. But this year we've all kind of gotten together and we know like what each other's strengths are. And like you said, like the entire week, we don't have it mapped out like what we do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but we know like starting on Monday, we're already thinking about what's next week going to be like, what are we going to do next week. And Katrina is like amazing with like, we need this, we need this, we need this. We got our peek at the week together. What do you want to do for this? Mark throws in things for social studies because he's a lot better at social studies than we are. Connie will jump in and do tests for us and, you know, give it to us. And it's not like where they just give us the test and then we're like, okay, let's go run the copies. Like we get the test ahead of time. We look at it. Is this okay? Do we need to change something? Y'all jump in.
I don't understand the question. Can we rephrase it? Can we add more park-like assessments?
But I would say another strength that we have is since we plan together and we teach the same lessons, the common format of assessments are always there because we're always assessing the same way with the same thing across the whole grade level, at least ELA we are.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to get at each other and ask, well, how did you teach this skill? Because this did not go well for me today. How can you help me? And then when we're in a cluster, we have the same information for cluster.
That's the purpose of the CFA.
And we do a lot of that, what they said, like at lunchtime. I mean, we don't meet every day at lunch. I mean, Katrina and I eat in the lounge. They eat wherever they want to eat. But they will come in the lounge and say, and Mark will come in, because Mark, I don't think he ever eats. But he comes in the lounge and will say, my kids did this, this, and this on this question. How did your kids do on it? Or I think we need to put a question like this on the test. So it really is like, and this is the most I've collaborated with people. I feel like the entire time I've been teaching, I've just been doing what I thought I should do. I mean, last year, Jamie Smith and I planned together, but that was probably the first year that I even planned with another person. And so, like, I feel a big relief. Our big motto is, we don't want to be here on the weekend. We all want to do something else on the weekend and be with our families and do what we want to do. And so that motivates us to, like, when we're passing the hallway with children, here, look at this. You know, like, look at this and tell me what you think about it. Because we don't want to be here on the weekends. We have lives like you do. And so,
And there is texting, like I texted this past weekend and I feel like, well, this was our last skill. What do you think of this? Because we're doing folklore and storytelling. Well, we did because of Dixie and they mentioned the Civil War. We talked about the Civil War because we did cross-curriculum. But that just kind of led into storytelling. Can we use what we already know?
and she had a great idea when she texted like all of us this weekend and was like, since we just talked about slaves and we're getting into storytelling, what about, you know, the slave stories that came, you know, from that, like, and so from like looking things up, I mean, it was just like such a wonderful segue into it, and the kids made the connection. So like having that background and teachers that have taught longer than you, you know, so it's great to finally like to feel like you're on a team. And this is the first year I feel like it is everybody doing the same thing. So
They didn't quit. If they quit, they got to start over without a school.
Actually, I was asked several times by different teachers, why did you come back this year? I mean, I'm kind of like offended almost.
You should
Like,
have.
because I love
Because you don't
kids.
quit.
Well, no, I love kids. So, I mean, these kids are awesome. So,
You have loved the kids from day one.
yeah, so
But you know what I see what y'all have done is you figured out what your strengths are so that you're not out of your comfort zone all the time when you're planning. Because if you get a team and you say, okay, you're going to plan
it's the difficult part for us to come up with these critical thinking, common core type questions, and that's the ones where we use each other the most. I mean, multiple choice, you might come up with a lot of those very easily. But the ones where you have to construct a response it out, those are the ones where
It helps have somebody else look at it.
So we use each other. So you might.
One other thing that we made, like to kind of simplify things, and because of the copy situation, this doesn't work for those that teach all subjects, so obviously this is more directed towards upper side, but this is the first year that we've kind of tried using a 6 weeks work plan for ELA, because there's not as many Montessori materials for ELA. So we've kind of worked it out to where, like, they'll have this for the 6 weeks, and each week is broken down, and they have 3 must-dos, and we can add to the bottom, like, you've done your 3 must-dos, okay, let me show you how to do, because the kids will want to do pen maps. Well, pen maps take a long time to do, and if they're not reading, you don't want them sitting for 45 minutes to an hour trying to do a pen map when they're not reading. So the children that get their must-dos completed, they can come and say, will you show me how to do this, and then we can add it down there at the bottom and what the date is, so that, you know, that's something now that they've learned how to do. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, like, we just took one out, and like, this is their new one. So it would only work, and I don't even, like Mark's talked about before, like, I don't think it would work really for math, because there's so much math Montessori materials, but for ELA it works out kind of good. So if you're a new teacher and you teach just ELA and social studies on this side, it might be something worth looking at, or something that you might say, maybe I can adjust this to work for what I do. So
Yeah, great.
I want to talk to y'all about teaching a variety of levels of children for a minute, because that's hard. I know it is, but that's been since the beginning of time. You know, I mean, our teachers didn't do that much with us like that, but just thinking how much trouble I would be if they would have put me in a group where they really pushed me and challenged me, you know? Think about that, about yourself. If you had been in the classroom that was really pushing you to your potential, not just teaching you to the middle of the class. So there's a couple of ways that I thought about doing it, but I'm not the end all, so maybe you think of it a different way. But, you know, you can do some whole group teaching. There's nothing wrong with that. It shouldn't be all day long. And that's when I was a teacher. Whole group teaching is not appropriate all day long. So that's okay. You may want to teach in a whole group. When you teach a whole group, you teach how? On what level?
Grade level.
On grade level. You teach on grade level. Even if they're not on grade level, that's where you teach your on grade level information. Okay. This is another way that you could do it. You could split your class in half. It may not be exactly in half. Different level. But split your class in half. Teach half the class instead of the whole class. Put a fourth of your class on the in-computer, and a fourth of your class doing their independent work that's challenging, but they can do it independently. That's where the art of teaching comes in. It should be Montessori, some of it, doesn't have to all be Montessori, but we should see Montessori in every classroom now. It's time. It's time to get it going, no matter what grade level you're in. So that's one way. You don't want them working on independent work that they can't do, because the whole time you're teaching half the class, they're going to be asking you questions. And that's your key. That's your red flag. It's like, wait, let me reflect for a second. 4 kids have left their independent work, and they've come to ask clarifying questions. You can look at it one of 2 ways. They don't listen, or I didn't give directions clear enough for them to want to listen. You can look at it 2 ways. They're not going to come to school and say, I love my teacher, she's awesome, so I'm going to listen today. Or he's awesome, looking awesome. They come every day the same. The only people who are going to change in the classroom is going to be you. Okay? Or you can try it this way. And you can do both ways, depending on your lesson. You can split your class in half. You can teach a fourth of the class, your little small group, because they may not be on the same thing that everybody else is on. You can have a fourth of the computer, and then half the kids could be working independently. So you can either teach half the class, teacher, in direct explicit instruction, or you can teach a fourth of the class, or a whole class. That's up to you and depending on the lesson and where they are. The reason why I'm saying this is what I want you to be careful. This is just me as an observer. You can explain to me why it's perfect. But I can't wrap my brain around this, and neither can my administrators when we talk. If you teach small group and you teach the same exact thing in the same exact way to everybody, let's say small group, to reach everybody, you may have to teach that same thing 4 times or 5 times. Look at the instructional time that you have spent on teaching the same identical thing the same identical way. When you could have taught half the class and only taught it twice, you could have saved, instead of 4 times, 2 times, that's half the instructional time. Or you could have taught it whole group if it was something that is appropriate for whole group. And look at all the instructional time you can save. So I just want you to be really, really careful if that's the process or procedure that you have gotten, routine that you've gotten into. Maybe a seasoned teacher said that's what they were doing, and you thought, well, okay, I'm gonna do that. You're doing a good job. Be careful. Okay. Miss Sue is sick, y'all. She got sick today at school, and so she could not come for the Montessori part. If you have questions about Montessori, you can go to either your mentor teacher, who I gave you a list of your mentor teachers at the beginning of the year. Let me see. Find one. I don't know what it says at the top. Does it say mentor? Yeah. It looks like this. I gave y'all this at the beginning of the year. I tweaked it today because we had people on here who had left. They quit. They quit before they got started. And I had some grade level people. People changed around Betancourt and the color, I think, switched around a little bit.
Yeah, but even the
Anyway, these are your mentors, but
so
they
you're
don't,
my mentor now. You're master. I get half of you. I get
they
half of
don't
your
know it
money.
yet. I didn't change many of them. I've changed very few, but there's a few changes I'm going to let them know as soon as I can remember to do that. I really can. All right. A mentor this is all a mentor needs to do. They're not somebody that you're going to go to for every single thing, because you got Linda Joyner you're going to go to for technology. You know, you got your different people. You got your administrators you're going to go to for discipline or da-da-da-da. But this is a person that should just check in on you every couple of days and just say, how are you? They might write you a little card, they might stick you a piece of chocolate
I've been
candy
missing a lot of
in your mailbox, or they can just say, how are you? What did he say?
He doesn't
His
eat.
mail.
He doesn't eat, so he's not gonna bring you cake.
And with Russell Stover is a preferable, Okay, so anyway, I'll tell the mentors to check in on y'all. The next thing I didn't give y'all an agenda because I didn't know if I was able to follow it all. But anyway, I think we're just going to move along because classroom management was something I wanted to talk about, but I think that the girls did a good job of just telling y'all some incentives that are free. You know, that's a good thing. Join these incentives. I think you know everything else I have to tell you about classroom management. I believe in building relationships. I know I'm putting y'all on the spot, but Angel and Hillary, be thinking, and I'll call y'all in a minute to give y'all some think time. I want y'all to be thinking about from your first year here, you better not think about it, to now. And I want you to think about what you are doing differently. And I want you to think about maybe how you've built relationships in a different way maybe. Or whatever has brought you your joy back. That's what I want you to think about. I'm going to give y'all a little time. I'll talk about some other stuff like that. Do I have any other people in here that are mentors? Those are my mentors on my leadership team. Yeah. All right, Kat, you can do the same thing, and you're also going to talk about your extra hours. But would you be thinking about that, Kat? Just thinking about that. How you build relationships with your children. How you build relationships, because that's key. And I can't always tell you how, because it's an innate thing for me, and it's not innate for everybody. So that would be like, you know, me trying to learn how to snow ski. You know, it's not innate. So I need somebody to really be able to go step by step for me. Okay. I do want to tell y'all, if you're not doing this, you need to start with your PBIS incentives. First of all, you should be ticketing them to death if you don't have management under control yet. You over-ticket until you get it under control, and then you wing. When you give a ticket, you name the behavior you're giving the ticket for. You don't say good job, because I don't know what good job means. You don't even say nice work, because I don't know what nice work means. You can say good job or I like thank you better than good job. I say thank you mostly. Thank you for being ready having your clipboard ready, your pencils in your hand, you're sitting straight up like a student. That's a behavior thing. Thank you for writing, indenting before you started your paragraph, and that'll be an academic thing. It's academic feedback when you say thank you for and you name the academic thing that they did. Okay? If you always correct, and it's easier to correct because you're mad and you're aggravated and you're agitated, Mama didn't do her job and you want to strangle. So you're agitated. So it's easy to say, sit down, sit crisscross, move over here, get back in a circle. Yeah, 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 wah, 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 wah. That's what they hear all day. Wah, wah, wah. So now all they've heard is everything they are not supposed to do. But they haven't heard what they're supposed to do. And that would be common sense, but guess what? They don't have common sense. If they had common sense, you wouldn't have to worry about it. So name the positive behavior you want to see. Your tickets, collect them maybe twice a day, because you don't want to wash them in their pocket or sell them on the playground or get beaten up on the bus for them. Really. So what you want to do is collect them twice a day consistently, like after lunch and after enrichment or whatever. And everybody knows that you got a leader because you can't think because you're teaching. So you're my leader of the tickets, and you're going to remind me every day to collect tickets after lunch and after enrichment. Now that's off my plate, and it's on yours now. And now you have some responsibility. Okay? So every day when you collect those tickets, you have an index card or whatever with their name on it and a hole puncher. And if you give me 2 tickets, you get 2 punches on your card. If you give me 1 ticket, you get 1 punch. And you have those tickets in a safe place. It could be in a pocket chart if you have built community in your classroom and nobody's stealing yet right now. It could be in a Ziploc bag. It could be wherever. I don't care where it is. Ask your mentor where his or hers is, or ask somebody that you want to ask. Because you should have a classroom incentive. You should not be waiting on anybody else. You should have a classroom incentive in place. To get this, you need this many tickets. To get this, you need this many tickets. But then when the school dance comes along, or the school inflatables, or whatever we decide to do, PBIS committee have problems finding the time to meet. When we decide what we're going to do, you're not scrounging around the last minute. You are thinking in your mind, you are such a great kid, and I haven't been giving you tickets, and you got to have 40 to get in the dance, and then you're not going to go to the dance, so I'm going to just give you 20 today. That diminishes the whole idea, and this child is not stupid, and neither is anybody else in the classroom when they see this child get 20 tickets today because you want them to have 40 tomorrow. So if you're not consistent, they might not be able to verbalize it or vocalize it or articulate it, but they know it right here, and they know it right here. So if you don't have the card with the holes punched, how are you going to know how many tickets they got? It's amazing to me that teachers still don't have a system. And I'm thinking, okay, so what would you do when it's time for the dance? I like you, so you get to go. You get on my nerves, you can't go. Your mom is ugly, and she cursed me out, you're not going. Okay, so honestly, I think some of that happens sometimes, subconsciously, because we don't know what to do because the dance is tomorrow. So start doing it today. Okay. All right. Linda Joyner, I don't know what to say about Linda Joyner other than God just dropped her here, because she is not only a valuable, brilliant resource for technology, but every time I turn around, she's offering to take on another task. And I'm like,
music.
okay.
And music.
And she's talented in music too.
She is excellent.
Telling all your
She is
secrets.
excellent.
So Linda has offered to do Study Island. She's offered to do, what's the last thing yesterday you offered to do? Last night?
Well,
Something.
the last thing was Study Island. Before that, it was Eagle.
Eagle. So she's just on the ball. So she's a great go-to person, but she gave y'all 2 handouts. Linda, do you want to say anything
I
about
can just
them?
very, very briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, what I gave you was the August Bits and Bytes newsletter. That has all the login information for anything you need to log into. Even I can't remember all of, how to log in. We have this workshop coming up on October the 13th. And some of you have not been able to log in. It's just your full email address, and the password is the word password, unless you've changed it. But even I couldn't remember. I had to look now. What was the login system for that? That's in that August Bits and Bytes. The good news is if you misplace it, it's on Blackboard under TPSS resources. And your Blackboard login is the same as your email login. And
Does it say in Blackboard Bits and Bytes
there's a
tab?
tab that says newsletters. And all the newsletters are in there, and the August one is in there.
Okay, so the August Bits and Bytes newsletter has all of your logins when you're losing your mind. Because at home at night, sometimes I'm losing my mind. And if you think you got it bad, sometimes it's Catherine.LeBlanc and sometimes it's Kathy.LeBlanc, and I never know. And then I start, it's a mess.
Same way, me too. Pam,
Okay,
same way.
then you gave them the webcam.
And the webcams, I mean, we've already finished the first 6 weeks, so y'all have all done grades. The only thing I could think of that you may not know how to do is to add comments, which I kind of just stumbled upon the last year that I was in, last year. And there's a handout for that. And y'all can email me, or, I can come by your rooms or whatever anytime you have any questions or problems with webcams.
Thank you so much, Linda. All right, and almost at the end. This Kat is going to talk about the extra that's gone, and then we're going to come back to you girls. Kat's going to tell you about the extra, but before she does, I just want to tell you, Jason Martin said he thinks that somebody here, not in this room, particular, that somebody at our school opened something that was a virus. This is the tricky part. If it says like Adobe Flash update or some kind of update, I do that all the time. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just don't do any updates right now, because that's where it is. If you did it and you're the person who opened and caused the virus, you would know it. So don't worry. Because at the bottom it says, it'll say, for a ransom, we will uncrypt this thing, whatever the word is. And they want money to be able to unscramble it all.
Well, that's why they went around today and scanned everybody's computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were running a virus.
A virus, yes. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Catherine.
After you've done this wonderful planning with your friends, and you need to pull activities, what? No. I will be loud. You've done all this wonderful planning and you need stuff. And you've got all the Montessori stuff, but you may not have enough stuff for the test. Or say like fractions on a number line, which there is no Montessori material for, and there is a lot of stuff that's going to be on test this year that we don't have materials for. I started collecting this stuff a few years ago. It's on the X drive when it's there, and it says CATS 1, 2, 3 files. Now, it says first, second, third. It doesn't mean you can't use it if you're in fourth, especially if you need like some remedial stuff. All right, so when you get in there at first, I could look on here, there's over 2,000 files in here. So it could be very confusing, and I spent half the month of June just trying to get it together. So you can just look on here like book studies, Candyland, that's if you take a Candyland game and you can make all this stuff about all these files that it's used Candyland board, but it's blends and plurals and addition and multiplication, whatever, that's all there. Culture, this is kind of culture stuff that's not on that entire CD folder that we have. Just stuff for data. Okay, this is ELA 1, ELA 2, that's, reading stuff for first and second grade. Finding proof, that's for like little guys. But if you have kids that are older that are having a hard time finding text evidence or how to get there, that's right there. First grade reviews, first grade test prep. Geography, that's geography for everybody. Geometry, that's geometry you can use to everybody. Grammar for everybody. Graphing, handwriting. This for class jobs, I just threw it in. This is management, like just organization stuff. You need stuff to organize with. First grade math, second grade math, math fact strategy units. These are gold to me. I used them with my first graders, using the second graders. It goes back to that first grade, learning doubles plus one, number in the middle, counting on, making 10. If you have kids that did not get math when they were in first and second grade, they're having trouble with like math facts, addition, subtraction, even if they're in the fourth grade, you can put them back to this, and it really, strategies help them memorize them. And if You have kids that cannot memorize facts, and you have people that cannot memorize facts. It can help them figure them out when they need them. So they have those. Measurement for everybody, money for everybody, do some project-based stuff, second grade review stuff, second grade test prep, Storytown PowerPoint files for first, second, third grade. All right, I'm going to pull up third grade because I think mostly we have some uppers here. Okay, third grade. And this is all the kind of stuff that's in, if I can open it up, it's also in for first and second. I got it broken down, and you could also use this for fourth, second, whatever. Test prep. It's just tons and tons of stuff for test prep, ELA prep, geometry, homework, passages you can send home. I've got close reading passages up here that you can send home. You can do them in class, you can send them home. This lovely lady gets a passage every week, and just simple, a passage with some comprehension questions, and maybe write a paragraph. Next year, it's going to be write a paragraph on it.
Well, I know like Bailey's big thing is set the timer, Mom, how fast can I go?
Uh-huh.
And and that's great that she wants to be that fast,
Right.
but what words are we skipping? What are we not
Right,
realizing?
and I don't time
to go
them.
with
That's not
that.
a timing thing that I do, but
Her big thing, she's ready on Monday when she gets that packet, that she's gonna do that. And the
Right.
same thing, I know when you said teaching 1, 2, and 3, and teaching all grade levels, yes, I do that too, but it amazes me what my daughter personally has learned, because she is a nosy little first grader last year.
Yes.
And she would do her work, but then she could not help herself because they were doing multiplication. So now, my now second grader is very fluent in multiplication and absolutely loves it, just because she was nosy and got that experience from having that in there. And so to me, that's why we chose the school, because she's learning and it's not stopping her.
I'm just
I
going
have to say about Bailey when I was in your room, Miss Donna. Bailey likes to tell everybody that comes in everything they're doing.
That's right.
So Miss Donna had to say, Bailey, you cannot do that.
This is an evaluation she's coming in for, and I'm giving the evaluation
And
rules.
This is Bailey. She's walking to the next
Hilarious.
place that she's going, and she walks by me, and she just looks at me, and she says, I wish I could talk. Miss Donna,
Exactly what Miss Donna told her.
you cannot tell Miss
She got over herself. Yeah, but she can't. She would have exploded had she not said something. I'm just going to open one of these files, and look, all of these files are kind of like this. I'm going to open one real quick to show you math, and because this math stuff would be helpful, probably fourth grade. Okay, this is just math. So it just it goes layer and layer and layer. It's huge. So math, addition, area, perimeter, elapsed time, end of the year stuff, fraction. I'm going to open fractions for you, just to show you. This is fractions. Now, they need to know fractions on a number line, da-da-da. But if I teach fractions and fractions on a number line, and I teach it now, and that's the end of it, they will not remember it for the test at the end of the year. And I also, you can see how many of them in here, and it's like craziness, because there's so many. I actually know what all this stuff is. So if there's a particular skill that you're doing, like I'm starting fractions on a number line, and I need something easy, I can point you, look, this is the one that's, and look at it kind of quick one here. And a lot of this stuff here, fractions on a number line, is this it? I don't know. Stuff that, yeah, this is it. So like this particular one, and I'm just going to use this real quick as an example. I hate these things. I like them most. Okay. Oh, this is my little thingy. There it is. Okay, task cards. I've got thousands of task cards in there. And they can tell I'm a task card queen. I believe in them because you can take task cards. They can do them individually. They can do them with the Montessori materials. It's not just that in isolation. Like, this is fractions on a number line. You see how simply it starts. And I do this to my second graders. So when they get in third grade. So it would be like, count the pieces, they get all this. And there's 1 out of 4 pieces, 3 out of 4, whatever. And then it'll go into something else like, then they'll put, recording sheets. Now they're going to stick a number line underneath that same thing. And this is just a little bit more. Then they'll get down and go flat on fractions on a number line. But I've got tons of files like this where it starts them off, baby steps, and then it builds to it so you can differentiate. You got kids that already have it, here you do these. But the thing is, so with 31 kids on 3 different levels, I have to keep them busy, but not with busy work. You know, when they're doing something, they have to be doing something that has meaning. You know, don't go color the sheet in the corner, you know, unless it's got a true meaning. So when I do my planning for the last few years, and some of these I had before mine, so I had some of them before. What I'll do is I'll go look, okay, I need so-and-so and so-and-so. I'll go to Teachers Pay Teachers, and I will look what had 5 stars. And I will say, this. I'll look at the comments, this is the best thing that ever happened, this is wonderful for my class loved this. Or I'll go to some blog and everybody, oh, this is the greatest thing in the world, and I'll go buy that. And this is all the files that are in there. So it,
I wish I knew how much money that would make.
okay, that's one thing I'd like to talk about.
You could add that back into your retirement plan, that'd be great.